Well, welcome to episode 3 of the Fresh Start podcast. It is the 1st of November. We are excited that we're able to come back to you, kick your month off the right way. And this month, we're going to talk about being thankful. You know, we always, around Thanksgiving, talk about being thankful, but we're going to see how can we, at the start of the month, go ahead and start being thankful so we don't wait to the very end. It's a Thursday. We focus one day on being thankful. Then the next day, Black Friday, we throw it all out the window and try to go run over people to get all of the items we want on Black Friday. So I don't even know if you can say Black Friday anymore. That might be cancel culture. Who knows? We'll see. To be determined. But this episode, we're going to talk about being thankful. And we're going to start out Thanksgiving. We're going to do some rating of the Thanksgiving food. So what we've done is we have gone to the Food Network and looked at their top 5 rated Thanksgiving foods, and we are going to rate them ourselves 1 through 5 on what we like, and we're going to discuss it. So we have some pictures here. We're going to take just a second, put these in order, and then we will discuss with you what we think is the top Thanksgiving food. Y'all got them in order?
Oh yeah, yep. I'm ready.
All right. We'll start with Matt. Matt, what was your number 1?
Turkey.
Let's start with number 5. Let's
go
from 5 below. That way it builds suspense. What is your, out of these, number 5?
Ham.
I knew I liked Matt for a reason. Number 5 is also ham.
I went with pie.
What is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you?
I too have ham.
Yes.
He's the lone man out, baby. Let's go. Ryan's the weird one.
I will say
that's not a surprise.
that I like cobbler over pie. I'm not a big pie guy. So, all right. Well, this is what peer pressure feels like. Pie. Mine was pie. All right. We'll start the other side. Zach, what is your number 4?
Mashed potatoes. And I love mashed potatoes, but this is just if I'm eating stuff on Thanksgiving that I don't eat all the time, and so I picked mashed potatoes as my number 4.
My number 4 was ham, so it was still toward the bottom, but
You've redeemed yourself a little bit here, just a little bit.
What was yours?
My number 4 was stuffing and dressing. It's good, but there are just other options besides that are good for sides that I could list, but I won't get into too many controversial topics here. So number 4, stuffing and dressing.
So I know there's a reason me and Zach get along so well.
Yep.
All right, they're 2 for 2 on this. All right, number 3. We'll start back with Matt. Number 3.
Pie.
Right in the middle of the road.
Turkey number 3.
Mine is mashed potatoes. So, you know, I like mashed potatoes. Yeah, again, I could have them any day of the year, but I would eat them every day of the year. I love some mashed potatoes. So.
Can we go back to the fact that Alex has already eliminated both the meats? So do you just have a plate full of sides?
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
And pie and everything else.
My number 3 is dressing.
Nice. All right, number 2. What's your number 2?
Pie. I didn't get this big not eating dessert. You know? I love a good apple pie. You can't beat it. Or pecan pie.
Oh, pecan.
Man.
Oh.
Pecan pie.
Look, down here we say pecan.
Pecan.
Yeah, we drink sweet tea and say pecan. So, for those listening, Alex is a Yankee. But yeah, pie's my number 2.
My number 2 is turkey. I like turkey. Number 2, it's up there on my list.
Number 2 for me is also pie.
There you
Give
go.
me good apple, cherry, strawberry, rhubarb, whatever you want. Chocolate, pumpkin. Throw it all out there. I'll have some pie.
You've redeemed yourself from eliminating the 2 meats.
Mine is dressing or stuffing.
Dressing or stuffing, number 2. I know for those that are listening, watching, those are not the same thing. I've been educated multiple times on how stuffing, dressing, not the same, but they're the same category. So we lumped those together. So, all right, number 1. What is your favorite Thanksgiving food?
Turkey.
Hands down, the mashed potatoes. Let me tell you right now, a potato is the most versatile food. You can have fries, you can have scallop potatoes, mashed potatoes, cheesy potatoes, garlic potatoes,
We got Bubba
potato
before.
balls. Like, I'm telling you right now, potatoes, you can never go wrong with potatoes.
My favorite is dressing. I love me some dressing. It's delicious.
My number 1 is turkey. Gotta have the turkey.
I love
and
it.
good dressing has turkey in
It
it.
does.
So, I mean, those are kind of the same.
No, I love me some turkey, especially whenever it's fried. Fried
Some
turkey.
Fried turkey. Trash can turkey. Anybody ever had a trash can
I've heard
turkey?
of it.
Yeah. I've heard of
It's
it.
the move. So that's our top 5 Thanksgiving foods. The Food Network's number 1 was actually wine, but I didn't feel like we could put that on here, and it's really depressing as far as our country. That's the number 1. So we actually went 2 through 6 because we're Baptist here. And so they listed turkey as number 1. Or no, turkey was actually number 6. Ham was above turkey, which was really depressing as well. So maybe the Food Network doesn't know food as much as you think they should. All right, so we're going to move on, top Thanksgiving foods, and we're going to transition to really what we are talking about today, and that's the idea of being thankful. And we're just going to kind of tell some stories or some highlights of what we're specifically thankful for, just so we can personally start this season off giving thanks, but just so you, our audience, knows what are some things we're thankful for right now. Who wants to start us off? Matt, what are some things you're thankful for?
One of the things I'm thankful for has been ministry in the middle of a pandemic. Yes, it's been hard and difficult and stuff, but I'm thankful for the church family and just the ministry aspects of everything. Something to keep you grounded in the middle of something, you don't know what's next.
Sure. Yeah. What about you, Zach?
I think just when I say life in general, I mean that's so cliche. But right now, I mean, I've got a new nephew. Luke is awesome.
James. Luke
Yeah.
James.
Except for the
strong
fact
name.
the first time I held him, he peed on me. But yeah, I'm so thankful for Luke. Brad and Carrie are doing great, so that's awesome. I'm thankful for work. During this pandemic, there was a lot of jobs that kind of got shut down. But I didn't miss a beat. Maybe it's because criminals didn't miss a beat. I don't know. But just a lot of different things in my life right now that are going well. So a lot to be thankful for.
My wife and I are in a time of transition and patience as we've moved from college and into a new job, into a new city, a new church, all of that stuff. So I think I speak for both myself and her when we have been thankful for the people God has put in our lives since then who have helped us move and helped us transition into ministry and help us look for jobs for her and opportunities for her to serve. So the people that God has put in our lives in these last few months have been just fantastic and such a blessing that we are extremely thankful for.
And I think mine kind of echoes everybody, and the common denominator has been people. We're not meant to live life alone or on an island, especially as Christians, and I would echo and second and amen everything they've said. I'm super thankful for all of the different ministry leaders and volunteers that we have because my job, Alex's job, wouldn't be able to happen without people like Zach and Matt who come in week and week out and help us. So many other leaders that help out in our ministry. It didn't happen overnight. I know that there's a ton of student ministries around the country who are hurting and looking and feel all alone in their ministry. And we look around and we have a ton of adults and volunteers who pour into our students each and every week. So I just want to say thank you. I'm thankful for you. Because this ministry couldn't go on like it does without lay people who are killing it in a secular job, but then who come in every day really and minister to students. So thank you because you make my job and life and ministry a lot easier. So I don't know what you're thankful for. Hopefully you can drop that in the comments or you can start thinking on things you're thankful for. But if it's somebody, man, let them know. Let them know you're thankful for them. Send them a text, give them a phone call. Just going ahead and start November out thanking somebody because I know that I'm where I'm at in life because of people who have poured into me and invested in me. And it's easy to get so caught up in the hustle and bustle that you forget to stop, tell people thank you along the way. So reasons to be thankful. There are a million different stories in the Bible as far as being thankful and blessed that we could pick out. But one, as we were thinking about this, that just kept gnawing on my mind, or just somebody who kept jumping out to me, was the widow who gave the widow's mite. And it's just 4 short verses in the book of Luke. But these 4 verses tell us a lot about this season and the attitude of giving and being thankful. So this is Luke 21, 1 through 4.
Jesus looked up and saw the rich putting their gifts into the offering box. And he saw a widow, a poor widow, putting in 2 small copper coins. And he said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all of them, for they all contributed out of their abundance, but she, out of her poverty, put in all she had to live on." So one of the things as we were talking about this that I think we wanted to address was kind of culture's attitude towards giving. So we come into Thanksgiving, and I think there's kind of 2 parts to that word. There's the thankfulness, but there's also the giving part. We're giving thanks, but we're also, giving toward each other. And that's something that I think our culture really lacks, is selfless, unashamed giving. I think oftentimes, I couldn't tell you how many times really that I've been to a basketball game or to a professional baseball game or whatever it may be, or I'm watching on the news, and you see these celebrities who walk out with this big old check to give to a nonprofit or to a hospital or whatever it may be for thousands, maybe tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And, it's the checks that are like 6 feet by 3 feet, just these massive things. And they walk out there holding this with their big old smiles, and they're, shaking hands and kissing babies and getting all the photography and publicity that they could ever imagine. And it's because it's not about giving to them. It's about me, and it's about themselves and the attention that they are getting from the giving. And I think Jesus kind of addresses that a little bit when he talks about the rich people who came in. It was clearly, something that was easy for them. They didn't have to fork over a whole lot of pain and suffering for what they were giving. And the attention was on them because they were dropping the big dollars and showing everybody who had the money. And I think that's something that we miss so often, is just the blessings that we get when we give sacrificially, and when the giving isn't about us. It's about the people and the lives that we are impacting through our giving.
So yeah, the culture's attitude on giving, not always the best. And again, it's more times than not giving out of abundance. Matt, talk to us a little bit about never having enough, this idea of never having enough.
I fell in the category of not having, feeling like I don't have the money to give. So I felt like I didn't have enough money to give. And at some point, I felt like I didn't have enough time to give coming out of the pandemic, because I overwhelmed myself with so many different things. But then I figured out, just putting my time back into my ministry where it belongs. Like Alex just said, if you feel like you don't have enough money to give, or if you don't have items or something, give your time. Give your time, because you're going to make an impact on someone. Because I've had students tell me plenty of times, they're like, you might not realize it, but you made such an impact on me because you're willing to put in your time. You're willing to make a presence in my life whenever something difficult's going on. So if you don't have if you don't have anything to give, if you don't have money, if you don't have items, give your time.
What about giving out of sacrifice?
I think, Alex, I was thinking about the story as you kind of related it to the celebrities giving. This widow, she wasn't, standing there and like, oh, hey, there's Jesus. I'm going to go drop these coins in there because in a couple thousand years, I'm going to be in the book of Luke, and they're going to read about this. And there's going to be sermons and podcasts on this. Like, she wasn't thinking that. She was literally given out of sacrifice. That was all that she had. And I think about, anytime you grow, there's not comfortable. You think about working out, the next day you're sore because your muscles have been broken down. You think about, look back in your life when you're uncomfortable. That's when growth happens. And if you have a great purpose, then you have a great process. And the process of giving sacrificially, and sometimes it hurts. You hear Brother Clay say, give until it hurts. And there's been times in my life that, I'm looking at the bank and looking at the bank statement like, man, I don't know how I can afford a tithe, but I can't afford not to tithe, And it's in those moments that, when God sees you sacrificing, people around you see you sacrificing, that's a testimony, And God said, He says, if you're going to try me in your money. I think one last thing, and then I'll wrap it up, but there's 2 times in Scripture when Jesus is amazed. It's at the lack of faith and at great faith. If you want to amaze Jesus, have great faith, or have a lack of faith. But I pray that we're people that have great faith, and we give out a sacrifice because we know that He says He's going to take care of us.
Yeah. So what are some steps that you can do at home, in your car, wherever you're at work, right now to start being more thankful. Because, again, we live in America, the land of abundance, the land of excess. We don't need 90% of the things that we have. So how can we truly start being thankful? So I think first, it's just start evaluating your attitude. So again, we talked about the culture's attitude on giving. What is your attitude? Because, again, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We're in the middle of what is a very divisive election year, and just a lot of different negative things going on, pandemics and masks and all of these different things that we're having to do, quarantines, different health hoops we have to jump through. So how can we be thankful? So evaluate your attitude. If your attitude is not that is joy when it talks about giving, then why is that? Because, again, giving is not just money, but it's also time, like Matt said. And so when the offering plate is passed, when we do things like the missions banquet and there are offerings, do you have a joyful attitude of, man, I get to make an impact on the kingdom of God by these finances that I'm giving? Or are you like, man, the church is asking more money from me, or God is asking more money from me? What is your attitude behind that? And if it is that more of like I do this because I have to rather than I do this because I want to, then evaluate that attitude. The very first thing, I think, is the attitude. The second is start somewhere. So if you're not giving at all finances to the church or time to the church, start somewhere. Yes, the Bible tells us to give 10%. Again, that's not like, hey, give 10% and you're off. I think more it's give sacrificially, give out of the sacrifice like we talked about. But the 10% is a general rule of thumb. But if you don't feel like, because you're in a financial strain or you're in a spot where you're like, I've got myself in such financial ruin, I can't give 10%, start giving something and then work your way up to 10%. If you can't give just a ton of your time to the church because you've calendared yourself to death, start this week, start somewhere. Give some of your time, just a little bit more. Or if your quiet time isn't where it's at, where it needs to be, start somewhere. I know that a lot of times, especially in my quiet time, whenever I fail, it's because I try to block out too much and I try to bite off more than I can chew, more than I can eat, more than I can swallow. And so I get overwhelmed and I end up quitting. And that may be you too. And so just start somewhere. Start small. Give 5 minutes to pray and read your Bible. And if you can give more, then start giving more. But just start. Because I know the biggest thing, whether it's a health journey or whatever it is, the hardest part of that whole thing is just starting. And then once you get started, once you get into a routine, it gets a lot easier. So start. And then I would say start making a list of things that God has blessed you with. Because more times than not, we sit, and whether it's in bed at night when we're trying to go to sleep and these thoughts are running through our head, we focus more on the bad things that are going on in our lives than the good things. And so if you have to physically write down and just start making notes in your head when you see that your attitude is getting bad or whatever, just start making notes. Man, these are the good things that are going on in my life. And I promise you, there's more good than bad in your life. The fact that we get to wake up in the land of opportunity that we do, that we have the religious freedom that we do, that we have churches like First Baptist Church and so many others around that are pouring the gospel week in and week out. And just, health, breath, whatever it is, man, God is blessing us. So there are a bunch of different ways, but I would just say evaluate your attitude, start somewhere, and write it down. Start making lists, and then tell people. Start telling people that you're thankful for them. I think that when you don't make it about yourself and you start pouring into others, you'll see that people start pouring into you as well. So it's not easy, but again, like Zach said, the widow never thought thousands of years ago, her dropping in literally all she had, what would have been meaningless to the normal person, just pennies into the offering plate, is a theological truth thousands of years later. What she gave was not money. What she gave was her faith. And that's what we got to give, I think, is our faith to God. That it doesn't, the amount of resources we give is not the issue. It's the faith that we give behind those resources. So there have been some questions that we're going to answer. Matt's going to kick us off with, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice that I've actually been given came from you, and it came from your brother-in-law, Brian, was be comfortable being uncomfortable, because it goes with mission trips, ministry, just anything in life, is sometimes you have to be uncomfortable to see what's good and to see if you like it and to see if you don't like it. You know, you just got to be willing to be put in an uncomfortable situation to get to where you need to be.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing. I know for me, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. I mean, nobody wants to be in an awkward situation.
You thrive in awkward situations.
You do. You're the most awkward person I've ever met.
I think as a student minister, you have to be okay being an awkward and just embrace the awkward.
Yeah, no one likes that. You live in the land of awkwardness.
Look, students are awkward, and if you can't operate in the awkward, you're not going to do well in student ministry. And so if you're a parent out there, or, hey, even if you're a student listening, look, embrace the awkward. Sometimes, yeah, it's super awkward, and sometimes with students you get past it. Sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you say, well, all right.
Well, all right, and I just walk away, and that's just what you got to do sometimes. But, yeah, being comfortable, being uncomfortable. Because, again, that's where the growth happens. You're not like, if you were to just, like, going back to weightlifting, just always work with a weight that you can do 100 times, like, yeah, you might tone, but you're never going to get stronger, really. I mean, it's when you push and you strain and you fail, that's when you grow. And it's the same in ministry or whatever. It's talking to the students that are awkward and don't open up. Or it's even talking to your own child who you're like, hey, how's your day going? And it's awkward and they're not. Just be comfortable being uncomfortable. Live in that world. And the more you do it, the less you notice that it's awkward, I guess. Yeah. Because you just get so used to it. But, yeah, students, man, they're awkward. All right. What is one item? I love this question, and I would really like to see your feedback too, because this is such a great icebreaker question. What is one item of clothing that someone could wear that would make you walk out on a date with them? You're sitting down, blind date maybe. They walk into the restaurant. They are wearing this item. You just get up and walk out.
You know, everyone knows my love for the Chicago Cubs. If she walked in wearing a St. Louis Cardinal shirt, I would probably say, you know, it was nice meeting you. You might even be highly attractive. But your taste in baseball is going to have to get me to stand up and say, nice to meet you, pleasure's all yours.
I guess that means you and I could never go on a date then, because
I
I like to rock some.
Or in Ron's case, what if she walked in with a Braves jersey on?
Well, no, I appreciate the Braves. I do. If I wasn't a Cubs fan, I'd be a Braves fan.
Chop on.
Yeah.
Even though they broke my heart.
R.I.P. You know, or on the flip side of that, if she walked in wearing Bama stuff, you know, I'm hardcore Tennessee.
That'd be tough. Bama would be tough.
It would be hard. You know, it'd be tough. She better be really attractive and have a nice little heart. Have a good little heart in there, attractive. But look, if you're a Cardinal fan, God bless you. You need more prayer in your life.
And Cardinal country.
So are you saying you would rather go on a date with somebody who was an orange jumper wearing it just right out of prison, and
orange
she were...
Look, I thrive with criminals.
Police officer.
I have a job with criminals. I love me some criminals.
That would be the awkward part. The uncomfortable for us is Zach's comfortable.
Yeah, bring it on.
The ankle bracelet.
Yeah.
Call him up,
Where did you get that?
867-5309.
Yeah.
Give him a call.
Yeah, I love that. But Cardinals, God bless.
One item of clothing. You know, it could have been many things. It could have been a Hello Kitty backpack, but you chose the Cardinals.
It could be a Hello Cubbies backpack.
Hello Cubbies. There you go. All right, the question I'm going to answer, and again, Thanksgiving, this has been like the food episode. What is your favorite sandwich? Okay, dream with me a little bit here.
Here we go.
You might think it's awkward now, but when your mouth starts watering because you want this sandwich.
This is about to be the most basic sandwich
ever.
You're
What's
going to
be stuffing? We're going back to the first part.
It better involve chips being on it or
Dream
something.
with me. No chips. Sourdough bread that has been toasted just to perfection. A thin slice of pepper jack cheese, just subtle enough to help your taste buds. A piece of fried chicken. Pimento cheese.
You lost me.
Just the smallest dab of hot sauce. And then another piece of sourdough bread. I'm telling you, it'll change your life forever.
You know
It
what I was,
changed mine.
you know what I was really hoping you would say?
What's that?
That sandwich we had in Chattanooga.
That's basically the sandwich we had in Saturday.
I mean,
Almost. That's
I mean,
about the
but
exact sandwich.
but with the sourdough bread.
Well, the sourdough bread just would push it over the edge.
Oh my
But I'm
gosh.
telling you, white bread, sourdough bread. I've made this sandwich. I lived on this sandwich during quarantine. It's the best sandwich around.
Okay.
I was so uncomfortable during that entire
I was
sandwich
too.
thing.
I really
man,
was.
But I felt like I grew a little bit, in the uncomfortableness. Right
I'm really hoping that Jason's Deli or Subway is going to hear this and want me to describe one of their sandwiches. That was what I was going for, really.
Get a
All
sponsor.
right, favorite, sponsorship. We're here, Red Bull. We're waiting.
Oh my goodness.
All right,
Well,
Alex, you have your own late night show. This could happen one day. Probably not. Who do you invite as your first guest?
Jeez.
First
Said,
guest.
you're
on-
also a student pastor, so you're also awkward. Therefore, you will never have a late night show.
Oh, Jimmy Fallon's pretty awkward.
Unless we
He's
create
awkward.
one here. All right, who do you invite as your first guest to your late night show?
Oh, there is no option other than Morgan Freeman. And there's two reasons for that. One, his voice is the greatest voice that has ever voiced anything that has to do with voices. And including all movies, like he's the kind of guy I would want, even at 23 years old, I would want him to read me a bedtime story. I would fall asleep to that.
Would
It
you
would be
ask him to
fantastic.
do that on your late night show?
Absolutely. I would bring some footy pajamas, my little blanket and a pillow, and I would fall asleep there on the floor probably. So definitely that's a really good reason to have Morgan Freeman because his voice is super soothing and manly and just everything. Mine's not.
Soothing
So
and manly.
yeah. It's
That
good.
would be your probably first and last late night show episode if you fell asleep in hooded pajamas listening to more. You may have a restraining order at the end of that episode. But Morgan Freeman is a great actor. He is what I imagine God's voice being like. Probably because he has been the voice of God on so
couple
many
times.
movies.
Yep.
But it is deep. It is. It's one of a kind. Yeah. He even fixed his teeth, so there's that. too.
There we go.
Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's a good one.
I still think Dale Jr.'s good.
Dale Jr.
I
he
would-
would be a good. What about you, Matt? I like
Probably-
this question. One guest.
Just because he's probably my favorite actor at this point, The Rock.
The Rock. That's who I was gonna say.
That's a
Dwayne The
big
Rock
man.
Johnson.
That is a big man.
You know.
Or Kevin Hart.
Off his gate to his house.
Yes.
He gets
Like down
locked
Shrek.
out of his.
Out of a
Okay,
brick
so
wall.
That's the most Rudy Grice moment I've ever seen. All right, I'm late. One, Rudy.
Rudy.
Number two, my gate doesn't work. So instead of just calling ahead and saying, "Hey guys, I'm gonna be a few minutes late," he's like, "You know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna rip this gate off the
We're
hinges."
talking steel hinge and
Concrete.
brick, like concrete brick,
Yes.
yeah.
He rips this gate out to the point where the technicians, when they came to fix it, said, "How? How did this happen?"
Or, if not The Rock, Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart, they're a package deal.
They're a
really.
package deal.
I mean, it's one or the other. But so really, what you're saying is you would like to have Rudy Grice as your talk
Yeah,
show.
pretty much. I mean, I get to work out with The Rock every Friday at this point.
Yes, we do. And so we want to hear from you. We don't want this to just be us talking to you. We want your feedback. And so what are some things you're thankful for? What's your top Thanksgiving food? And hey, throw in there, what's an item of clothing, or who would you have on your late night show? These are things that we're wondering about you, our listener. So make sure to drop that. Again, this launches the first day of every month to start your month off with a fresh start. We hope that this month you are more thankful as we're in the Thanksgiving season. We can't wait to be with you again December 1st. Check us out, Instagram, Facebook. We post weekly clips of this very podcast. We'd love to connect with you as much as we can. That's all we got for this month. Go have a good month.